Okay, today I'm going to show you how to change the brake fluid in Chrysler products. This is going to be on a 2017 Ram 1500, but this works on many Chrysler products. Now, this vehicle is 2017, not that old, right? Well, you know what? Look inside the brake reservoir. Looks like old engine oil. Pretty gross in there. Vehicle's 2 years old. So, I'm guessing what happens, I live in South Florida, and in South Florida humidity, that brake fluid just absorbs moisture over and over again. So, general idea, or I guess the best way to do this, is this product. You can pick these up on Amazon, I believe. It's a Motive Products Power Bleeder. And what it does is you fill this with brake fluid. This screws onto the cap there. You pressurize the system, and then you just open the bleeder screws on each brake caliper one by one, starting from the back right, back left, front right, front left. And that bleeds, that not only bleeds the system, but it also flushes all the old brake fluid out of it. So to do this, you'll need fresh brake fluid. Make sure, if these cans have been sitting on my shelf for a while, make sure they're sealed, which these are. If there's no seal, then they're no good, because they will ingest moisture very quickly. So I'm going to start by sucking all the old fluid out of the reservoir. I'm going to just use one of these hand pumps here. One of these doodads. And this will give you a better idea how gross that brake fluid is. Now, on a semi-amusing side note, I was talking to my service advisor about this. Actually, he brought it up. He says that it's pretty normal in South Florida for this to happen. Brake fluid just goes nasty every couple of years, and you can see, you get a better idea. It looks like engine oil. New brake fluid is clear, and you should protect your vehicle because this stuff is not paint friendly. You should put a rag over the fender. Get a couple just to be on the safe side. Don't want any drippies there. He said this is just something you got to do in Florida every couple of years. He recommended every 2. But the dealer charges a couple $100 for this procedure, and that tool is, I think, 100 or 150. That power bleeder. The brake fluid itself is pretty cheap. Okay. I don't know if I got all the fluid out. Oh, there's some more. You can see just how gross that is. Again, this is a 2017. It's not even, well, it's New Year's Eve day, so I could see what the build date on the vehicle is and give you an exact age. In fact, let's check. What's the build date? This vehicle was built in March of 17. I think if you don't have a Chrysler product, I believe Motive makes adapters for other vehicles. But I have an all Chrysler fleet here, so that's the one that I've been using. Look at that. That's gross, huh? And what can happen if you let that sit, that can cause corrosion in your brake system. There's a fairly expensive hydraulic control unit down here that runs the ABS. That can cause problems in there. You don't want moisture in your brakes. Alright, I think we got all the fluid we're going to get out of here. I'm going to dump this, and then we're going to fill up the reservoir about halfway. We're going to put some more in here, pump it up, and then we'll start opening bleeder screws. Thought I'd give you guys a better idea of how nasty that is, or how discolored it is, I should say. Yeah, it looks like engine oil. Pretty gross. Now, you could say, let's use a test strip before we do this, but don't have any test strips, and doing this is pretty easy. And I think you can tell just by visually looking at it, there's contaminants in this brake fluid. Alright, time to break the seal on this brake fluid here. Like I said, I'm going to put about half of it in this reservoir right here. And I want to keep a rag around because, again, this stuff is not paint friendly. I just broke the seal. Now I'm pouring. Notice that it's clear, unlike the last stuff. Okay, that's good for now. So we'll cap this again, and we'll put the cap of the power bleeder on the reservoir, like so. And again, they make different adapters, so if you don't have a Chrysler vehicle or your master cylinder is a different size, don't worry. Now I'm going to pour the rest of the brake fluid in here. And again, the beauty of this is that it will flush out the whole brake system, exclusive of the ABS pump. That you would need factory scan tool for, such as YTech. So I do have another container of brake fluid over there in case we need it. I don't know that we will though. We'll see. This one's done. Probably get this out of here before I accidentally throw it out. Now we want to cap this right away because, again, brake fluid loves moisture. It's hydrophilic. Has an affinity for moisture. We'll pump this up a little bit. I usually put it around 5 psi or so. Make sure the gauge is steady, it doesn't drop. It is dropping a little bit. It might be okay. Perfect. Okay, now we need our flare nut wrenches for the bleeder screws. I will find out. Okay, so starting from the part of the vehicle that is furthest from the master cylinder, which in this vehicle is the passenger side rear, pop off the cap from the bleeder screw, which is right here. We're going to attach a short length of hose to it, just so we don't make a mess, like so. I'm going to put this fluid in the reservoir here, not the reservoir, this little Pyrex container. Put it over there so you guys can see it. And we're going to use our special flare nut wrench to pop that bleeder screw loose. Flare nut wrenches don't round things off. This vehicle is a 7/16. There we go. You can see the brake fluid coming through the line right now. And what's happening is that power bleeder is forcing all the air, or not, sorry, the air and the old brake fluid through the system. So we're going to let this run until it comes out clear. As you can see, it is far from it. I'm going to crack this open a little bit more, speed things up a bit. And what can also happen if you have moisture in your brakes is when the brakes heat up, the moisture in the lines could boil. And when water boils, it turns into steam. Steam is compressible. So if you have air in your lines or water in your lines, you can have a similar smushy brake pedal. So when that water boils, turns into steam, that creates a gas in the brake lines. The gas is compressible, whereas a fluid is not. You can see that there are some air bubbles coming out of here. I don't know if that's just air, if that's air in the lines or just some air leaking past the threads here. Could be either one. Doesn't really matter though. No air can enter the system as long as it's pressurized. We're gonna go give that a quick check to make sure we're still around 5 psi, and if we need to, we'll pump it up. Okay, this has been going for a little bit now, and you can see the fluid coming out is much clearer, and you can also see the drain pan getting a bit stratified. You notice at the bottom it's a lot cleaner than at the top. So that's new fluid on the bottom, old fluid on top. So we're going to shut this down pretty soon. because we got fresh fluid going through the system. To shut it down, we just pinch off the bleeder like so. We take our flare nut wrench and just snug it down real good. Take off the hose, let it drain, and then we move on to the next wheel, which is right over there. There's a better view of the old versus new stratification that I was talking about. Get new brake fluid on the bottom, old on top. But not really that old. Okay, I'm popping the cap off the bleeder screw. I emptied the reservoir out. Just like the other side, we'll take the hose, put it on the bleeder screw, put the other hand in a jar. Pretty easy stuff. Won't bore you with all four wheels, but just want to give you the idea. I did pump up the power bleeder, was down a bit. Got to check the fluid in it periodically as well and make sure you don't run out. If you send air through the system, you got to start all over again, so keep an eye on that. And we'll get all four wheels going. Old fluid coming out. Icky just like the other side. Now you can use that same power bleeder system to not only flush your brakes like we're doing right now, but also to bleed them in case you do get air in the lines. Same procedure. Normally bleeding the brakes is a two-person job, someone to manage the pedal and someone to manage the bleeder screws, but this makes it a one-person job and saves quite a bit of time and money. Okay, we got the same stratification going on. This brake fluid is nice and clean coming out. Now, you'll notice that the bleeder, power bleeder, is empty. And it's throwing air into the system. And by system, I mean just into the master cylinder reservoir, which is fine. Our fluid level is about here. I want to bring this down a little bit lower before we add any fluid to this. So I'm just going to let this bleed out air into the reservoir and drain the reservoir down a bit. Okay, I got the front right wheel hooked up right now, and I think it's just about time to add more brake fluid. So just like the back wheels, I'm going to close off that bleeder screw, stop the flow of brake fluid, and then I'm going to go up to the reservoir, put more in. I want to open this slowly because there is still a bit of pressure in here. That's a two-handed operation, forgive me for a moment. Whoop. Sorry about that. So we're going to open it slowly. Okay. Pressure has been relieved. Now we're going to put some brake fluid in here. Might as well put it all in because you can't save this stuff, like I said before. And brake fluid is cheap, it's not worth chancing it once you open it. You know, $4 or $5 for one of these, if that. Reason why I'm not putting it in the master cylinder is because for whatever reason this power bleeder slowly fills the whole master cylinder, and I don't want that to be overfilled. I might not have any control over it though. Okay, so we're closed back up. Make sure we didn't leak any brake fluid anywhere. We'll pump it back up. Okay, we're back at 5. Let's open that bleeder screw again. Ugh, excuse me. To get a better view of my hand. Just gonna open that up again. Let the fluid flow. So it is still kind of nasty coming out of this wheel. And I would expect that. The front brakes see a lot more use than the back brakes. They get hotter. These are twin piston calipers, whereas the ones in the back are single piston. Don't do any towing, so that wouldn't get things as hot as, say, a vehicle that tows on a regular basis, but we'll let this run. Alright, so we're into fresh fluid on the front right wheel. We'll stop it in just a moment. No, I said I wouldn't bore you with doing all 4 wheels, but I lied. Okay, get the cap off. Get our hose and reservoir hooked up. Try to get rid of the shadow there for you guys. Gotta move the light. Ow. That hurt. I need a lift. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Place the hose in the receptacle, and we'll crack the bleeder screw. It's odd, some of these have been lighter than others. And she's a-flowing. And we'll let that run for a while. Okay, we're all nice and stratified on this wheel as well, so I'm going to tighten that bleeder screw and everything should be done. And hopefully this video helps you. If you find these videos helpful, please subscribe. And thanks for watching.